It's here! It's finally here! But what's here? Well, a whole heck of a lot of games scrolling behind me right now for Xbox Game Pass cloud streaming, which is now available on PC and iOS through web browsers, specifically Chrome, Microsoft Edge, and Safari. And that Safari there is your ticket into iOS, playing this thing on your iPad or your iPhone. Now, this cloud streaming service has been available for a while on Android. So I'm going to focus here on if this is mainly I'm going to focus here as a gaming PC perspective. So is this something that's interesting or useful to somebody who is a PC gamer? Well, one thing you might notice with all the games scrolling behind me right now is that there's a lot of games here that are not necessarily available on the PC version of Xbox Game Pass, where you actually have to install the games and play them. And not only that, there was a lot of games on here that were Xbox games, Xbox 360, things like that, which again, we don't have access to necessarily on the PC. Now, instead of letting you stare at my sunburned face any longer, I'm going to throw up some image quality comparisons for you. So again, taking a look at the difference between what a gaming PC gets you and what cloud streaming gets you. So on the left, we have cloud streaming, and on the right, we have my gaming PC, which is uses an RTX 2070 and an i5 9600K and 16 gigabytes of RAM, and this is Doom Eternal. And so again, you can see the differences. So Microsoft claims that their cloud streaming can run at 1080p and up to 60 frames per second, and you know, it's okay. The image quality was fine. You can definitely tell that you're watching compressed video, and like I said, I'm playing on a 1440p monitor, so I can definitely tell it's not my native resolution. Although they did upgrade games to, they upgraded their cloud infrastructure to be using Series X components. So this is some nice looking stuff that's then getting fed through a whole bunch of video compression on its way here. Anyway, so if you're curious, like, is this gonna look as good as playing on a high-end gaming PC? The answer is definitely no. If you're wondering, is this better than my ancient computer, if you know you haven't been able to get a GPU in the current market? Or, like, personally, it's a lot better than what my work laptop could do, where I have, you know, an integrated Intel graphics chip. Yeah, it can look a whole heck of a lot better than that. So where this falls in terms of graphics fidelity kind of depends on what you're used to. Now, the main thing that I notice also as a drawback here is the latency, but I shouldn't make too big of a deal here because this is going to be different for different people. One part is going to be how close you are, and this is probably the main thing. How close are you to one of Microsoft's data centers that's actually running this thing? Because for me, this was pretty much unplayable in games like Doom, a first-person game. Also, you know, I should be fair and say that if we were doing this in a game more like, I don't know, Gears Tactics, where I can take turns, or maybe I was playing a turn-based game like Dragon Quest XI, you know, where you just walk around and have turn-based battles, the latency wouldn't be that big of a deal. So I don't want to say that it's unplayable for me, but it's unplayable in certain types of games. That little bit of latency is just unacceptable in anything where milliseconds matter. Again, your mileage may vary, especially if you live close to a Microsoft data center. Now, the other thing is, you're playing console versions of the games, which means if you're sitting at a PC and you'd like to be using your keyboard and mouse, that's just not going to be an option. So that's a lot of the main drawbacks to keep in mind, but there's a lot of positives as well. So one thing is, it just seems to work. Now, I admittedly haven't played around with this for months because this access was just added to PC, but I've been playing around with it for several hours now, And I haven't had any glitches with it not working. Now, again, that's my personal experience. I don't know if other people are going to run into other issues, but for me, it has been working flawlessly. Other than, like I said, the latency being worse than I would like. However, I can really only see myself actually using this as a demo service, other than, like I said, on certain games where latency might not be an issue at all. So I could see myself using this to try out a whole bunch of games that I'm not sure I want to sit through like a 40, 50, 60, 70, 80 gigabyte download to actually install the game on my PC, versus, you know, getting to just instantly try out the game through streaming. So for me, that's going to be my main use case here. Overall, I've got to say that this isn't really for me, but I do think that there are people, again, with lower end hardware, or just people living, if you live close enough to a data center where this latency is not bad, I think this is a fantastic service. I just think for me personally, where I'm at, the latency is just too much for me. I can't handle it. It is what it is. It's just not going to work for me for anything other than a demo service. It's unpleasant, okay? Also, I have a good gaming PC. So who is this for? Like I said, I think this could be very useful for people on weaker devices, playing on tablets, Android, or iOS devices, getting access to a huge catalog of games. There's a lot of positives here, and Microsoft is planning on adding this thing into TVs as well. For me, I'm going to enjoy this for the next 3 months for $1 and see if you can get that deal too. I think that there's absolutely no reason not to try this out for $1, because keep in mind, that's getting you the ultimate version here, which means even if you don't like the cloud streaming, this is also getting you access to the full Game Pass library on console, as well as PC, as far as the games that you actually just download and install and play natively. So it gets you all of that, and if you're a console player, I believe this bundles in the Xbox Live Gold membership as well. So if you're already paying for that, why wouldn't you grab this as well? What do you guys think about all of this in the comments section? I read all the comments on my channel, and I'm very interested. I have a feeling this is going to have some divisive opinions, because I think that cloud streaming is going to be a major market in the next decade, and I think Microsoft is positioned with this Game Pass Ultimate as the main contender here. They're the big player that can really pull this off. They are maybe in technology at least as good as something like Stadia, if not better, but they have all of the actual game studios behind them, as well as the native hardware to actually run the games, and just bundling all of this stuff together for $15 a month on that ultimate version. It is giving you quite a bit if it's something that you're interested in. For me, I probably don't put enough hours into games every week for the $15 a month subscription to just let run. But like I said, I'm getting the next 3 months for $1. That's going to be amazing. And I'll probably subscribe every now and then for a month to play some big major AAA release for a month that would cost me more than $15. And I think that's a great use case for this. I hope all of you have an excellent day.